I tell you what, lads, this football stuff is thirsty work, innit? It's a good job I've got my Buxton Evian Limited Air Up Buckland Springs Vimto Water Smart Water to get me through this. Brother, I'll be real, like, we've got places to be. Now's not the time for ad read. Focus on the game, I beg. Oh, alright, say, fine. Let me just put it down somewhere where it's not gonna get in the way of the game. And to be fair though, lad, it is important to be hydrated. Shut the fuck up. Yo guys, it is your boy Earnin here, and you are watching FTW. This is of course the series where I bring to you the best and more frequently the worst of what football has to offer during the last 7 days. What's been kicking off in the world this week? Well, NASA in the news. No, not standing for Niren's apocalyptic split end ability. NASA embarking on a journey to find life forms, or the potential for them on one of Jupiter's moons with a rocket this week. A search for intelligent life form. Their next mission, Jack Grealish's mind. Like United, this rocket heads straight for Europa. What it finds when it gets there though could be frightening alien life.
The little boy from Jupiter.
If there's one thing we don't do here in England though, it's illegal aliens. Stop them fucking votes. And that's why the England national team has a new English manager, Thomas Tuchel. Wait. Yo, hold on, that's not what I was... What boats he got on then? Thomas Tuchel has been named as Gareth Southgate's successor, becoming the new Three Lions boss, and I, for one, am backing it. However, this is 9/11 for 65-year-old reform voters. Cole Palmer's only just learned English, and now he's got to learn German as well.
What?
Thomas heard that Ineos wanted him to go to Manchester United and changed his passport immediately. So I fear he's going to be regretting his decision when he hears England fans singing 10 German bombers at half-time. Lee Carsley wouldn't sing the anthem because he's from Ireland. Thomas Tuchel may well lose the dressing room over World War II songs. The English national team is in disarray. And it'll be even more so when they find out that Thomas is actually a secret agent playing Harry Maguire and Jordan Henderson to start a World Cup final versus Germany. He'll be caught out by English officials when he sits down in the canteen.
Drei Gläser.
Now, the English media haven't overreacted at all during this situation. No, I'm joking, they've taken it as the reorganisation of SS troops, calling it a dark day for England in the papers. And again, this is the Daily Mail. Just printing this paper is a dark day for England. Gary Neville was quoted as saying that this is disappointing given there's an outstanding level of English candidates. This is a lazy take, because there just simply isn't. What is outstanding in this situation? Steven Gerrard. We wouldn't last 3 weeks with him in charge. The Telegraph claimed that Germany wouldn't think of hiring Frank Lampard. Yes, because Frank Lampard is shit. Letting a German take us to war? Where have I seen that before? Am I right? Come on. No, I'm joking. I'm severely underqualified for this role. In fact, a collection of English pundits pretty much had the same opinion on this situation, saying that realistically, the English national team's manager should be English. Danny Mills, when he isn't distracted thinking he's my father, also chimed in. And if I wanted to know what washed 55-year-olds with anti-immigration views and no basic understanding of modern football thought, I'd go to a pub somewhere in Burnley and probably get chased out of it. It's just a bizarre opinion when suitable coaches just are not around. Jamie O'Hara's take was even more extreme.
There are some foreigners that are coming over and taking our jobs, yeah, and not even working.
They take our jobs if they're not working.
Because they do it.
Let's be honest, this just wouldn't be the same reaction if Pep Guardiola, who had been linked with the role as well, had taken on the job instead. In fact, people were writing that it would have been one of the most ambitious things the English FA could have done, only for those same journalists to be frustrated when Thomas Tuchel was appointed because he's foreign. Pep Guardiola is not from England. I mean, why all this outrage? Steve McLaren was Jamaican, for fuck's sake.
Big up.
Big up. Seal it up.
Seal it up.
There was none of this chat when Serena Weigman won the Women's Euros with England, given she's from the Netherlands. And listen, Thomas Tuchel is a good manager, especially in tournaments. Bro won the Champions League with Timo Werner up front and Mason Mount behind him. He can be from wherever he wants to be. Well, there actually needs to be more focus, a bit more impetus on in terms of this storyline, is that there aren't English coaches available to take on this job. Eddie Howe is pretty much the only person, but he's on Saudi money and he's at Newcastle. No English manager has won a major tournament in England since 2008, brother. Tackle the problem of a lack of good, strong English coaching, and English coaches obviously in good roles, but generally speaking, the ones that get fast-tracked through the system like Lampard, Gerrard, Wayne Rooney, just aren't good enough anyway. Realistically though, can Thomas Tuchel even deal with the players? That's the next question. Mason Mount will be trying to get on his good books when he sees him in training.
Well, all right, lads. Guten Tag.
Things will be frosty between Thomas and Marcus Rashford when the Manchester United man refuses to play at right wing back. Marcus can only imagine the frustration he'll feel with Luke Shaw when England are 3-0 down to France at the World Cup and Luke Shaw's tucking into his dinner down on the touchline.
We're getting beat and you're relaxing. Man City in a biryani when we're getting beat.
In Lee Carsley's final game in charge of the Three Lions, and England beat Finland to almost guarantee promotion in the UEFA Nations League. We are getting promoted, lads. The fact that we even need to get promoted on international duty is outrageous, by the way. Finland fans were apparently singing happiest country in the world, you'll never sing that. A little bit too close to home, that one, to be honest, Finland, I'm not gonna lie. Meanwhile, Jack Grealish was left confused when a teammate explained who he was playing against.
He's Finnish, isn't he?
He's not finished. He's only 28.
No, not finished. He's from Finland.
Speaking of Jack, he's £50 worse off after making a bet in-game with Trent Alexander-Arnold, even though he was confident before the result took place.
And you know me, I will bet every pound I got.
Don't let the FA know they'll ban him for life. Unlike Lucas Paqueta though, it didn't involve a Bet365 account and a crippling gambling addiction. Instead, he betted with Trent Alexander-Arnold that he wouldn't score a free kick, only for the Liverpool man to slap it into the top corner. Jack will now be left devastated, realising he can't have a Jaeger bomb on his drive home. Now, it's taken me till this point to remember to complain about international breaks, mostly because I looked at the scoreline between Portugal and Scotland. 0-0, the scoreline here, which is a sensational result for Scotland in fairness, but a bad day for Cristiano Ronaldo, who was left absolutely fuming with his teammates overall. At full time, Ben Doak was Lil Broing him. This is crazy, man. Liverpool youngster telling Ronaldo to batten up, results soon come. This is crazy. Scottish players were waving their US passport stamps in Ronaldo's face. Meanwhile, that Al Nassr man took the rest of his teammates into the dressing room at full time and was aggressive in his managerial team talk.
Get your fingers out! Where's your bottle gun? I can't pay attention! Back on the field! Shut what you can do!
He'll have been left even more frustrated when he hears what Charlie Mulgrew, former Scottish and Celtic defender, said about him at the end.
Raging, isn't he? Fuming.
And Charlie Mulgrew was offering some very interesting commentary, generally speaking. A breath of fresh air, really, with the comedic timing in some of the comments he was making.
Screwed Ralston into the deck there. Somebody will need to unscrew him.
He would have been a big fan of this kid, taking it to every single Portugal Ultra before kickoff with one flag and a dream. Meanwhile, the comparison in tactics between this game and Poland versus Croatia, which ended in a 3-3 draw, were there for all to see. Balkan and Eastern European superiority is on show again. This game was chaos. Peter Zelinski managed to do everything in 190 minutes. He's completed every single side quest that football has to offer. Belgium faced off against France. They came back from 1-0 down to win 2-1 here, but it wasn't without the want of trying to lose from centre-back William Saliba. He had an absolute howler in this one, like a genuine disaster class stinker of a performance, clattering into Lois Openda for a penalty as well. He was very aggressive off the ball as Belgium went forward and into their final third. From Rolls-Royce to Renault, it was a pretty shocking display. But I just want to talk to Belgium's kit designer, okay? Because with certain complexions of players in this starting 11, I'm gonna get done for nudity, okay? Those shorts have gone into John Cena mode. I'm talking Clark in camouflage, okay? Because at first look, it looked like bro was free balling. Now, elsewhere, and well, Italy have done us all a favour by smacking Israel 4-1. Although, to be fair, Italians did fill out the place with Israeli flags. Oh, wait, no, I'm not physically brain dead. That was obviously AI. High-ranking people from that nation once again claiming things that aren't theirs. Italians did instead show support for other causes in the streets before the game took place. And with Italy right back Di Lorenzo winning man of the match, he'll want to be careful when he opens his phone to a Netanyahu text message. Crazy, isn't it, really? If Russia are banned from playing football by FIFA and from competing in the Euros, for example, then realistically, these men should be as well. But yeah, overall, good victory, and generally speaking, stay safe, people. There has been chaos over in African football. So a standard week in African football. Nigeria flew to Libya in order to play an African Cup of Nations qualifying match, only to arrive at the airport and be stuck on the plane for hours. They were then transported into the airport where they weren't given any information, weren't given food or water, and were basically held hostage in this Libyan airport for 24 hours. Captain William Troost Ekong was just about getting mobile data to give updates over on Twitter, and in the end managed to update everybody that they had in fact flown safely back to Nigeria without the game happening. Even Victor Boniface was being serious. That's how you know it was a serious situation. Calvin Bassey didn't have time for any of that. He was sleeping whilst his teammates were mobile hotspotting from the pilot's Wi-Fi just to send SOS signals on social media. Samuel Chukwueze was asked whether he'd still be in Libya in 3 weeks from now. His answer was pretty straightforward.
Do you care though? Who will be there? PSG. We will be there.
The baddest thing is, lads, Libya, right? Listen, I'm talking to you, yeah? You don't even have to sabotage us like this. Nigeria will do that ourselves in games. It's fine. It was a traumatic experience, I'm sure, for all of the players. And that was just Alex Iwobi bringing out a rap verse to pass the time.
Wrist so wet, I've got them tempted to touch.
This will be a final straw for Wilfred Ndidi when he's not eaten in 48 hours and Iwobi searches unknown T type B on YouTube.
When I'm through with you.
Meanwhile, things are even worse for Ghana. They may genuinely not qualify for AFCON. In fact, there is a seriously strong chance that they won't, because they are now like 5 points behind Sudan. Sudan basically need to score 1 point in the remaining games and have the head-to-head advantage over the Black Stars after a 2-0 victory this week. Look, listen, they saw the Nigeria hostage situation and in solidarity said they're not going to turn up for AFCON either. That's the bros right there. How do you qualify for a World Cup and then not qualify for the African Cup of Nations? We need to revoke their license. They're not allowed to compete in the next one. Supporters, yeah, they'll be a mess upon seeing this news. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The damage that Ayew brothers have done to this entire continent cannot be explained. Kids won't even believe that they used to be good back in like the 2010 World Cup. If I'm Ghana, I'm keeping their players hostage after this situation. AFCON officials will have questions for Iñaki Williams when they see him warming up for the tournament.
Come on, I'm getting... What are you doing? Sorry.
But shout out to Sudan. Not enough is being spoken about them in this situation. Obviously, it looks like Angola are going to qualify from this group, but Angola do tend to qualify for AFCON. Sudan, especially given the situation that's been going on in the country, like the civil war over the last few years, have done an incredible job. And shout out to their manager, Kwesi Appiah, for helping them to qualify, because that in a group that has Ghana in it, that is incredible work. Now, over in South America, and Argentina faced off against Venezuela in crazy weather.
I am under the water. Please help me.
Honestly, this could have passed for the men's 50 meters butterfly at the Olympics rather than a South American football match. Even the celebrations were getting a little bit problematic. So that's where they ended up after the ship sank. Lionel Messi needed the growth hormones that he took as a child just to stand up in this one. Although, to be fair, that's bold of me to say as a man who can't physically swim. It's not often the penalty area is also known as the deep end of this pitch, but Lionel Messi didn't let the adverse conditions stop him from having a sensational international week, scoring a hat-trick and grabbing 2 assists in 1 game. He's actually still classing it. Him and Ronaldo still scoring at this rate at this age is mental. But at full time and tensions were rising between Leo and this Venezuelan player. How small is this Don, by the way, to look like this against Messi? 3'5" with an attitude. Meanwhile, in the CONCACAF region, and Mexico grabbed their first win against the US in 5 years. The Mauricio Pochettino effect. Yeah, pretty disastrous result for the US, realistically. They're bad, I'm not gonna lie to you, given the players they actually have. And there might be a reason for that. Yeah, Tim Ream was quoted as saying this week that he had a 2-hour training session with Pochettino, of course a new manager, and that's the longest he's ever had with the US men's national team since he started playing for them 15 years ago. What have they been doing over the last 15 years? Dude, I was doing that in PE, guys. Come on, these lot are done for. In Spain, and young striker Samu Omorodion scored 4 goals for the side's under-21s in 1 hour of football. There's only one thing on Todd Bowley's mind when he sees a young black man having a purple patch on international duty.
You want a job? Come to me. Wallahi, I'll get you a job.
Brazil beat Peru 4-0. To be honest with you, with how Brazil have been recently, this is a good victory. But the goal scorers in this game, well done on winning, but at what cost? Andreas Pereira scoring for Brazil. I can't do this. It was a good goal as well. I don't even hate Andreas Pereira like that. We've gone from Ronaldinho to this. Back in Europe, and Switzerland versus Denmark saw this goal from a corner disallowed for apparently the corner going out of play before it was headed into the back of the net. Someone needs an eye test, because from this angle, it definitely doesn't look like that's the case, and Granit Xhaka will be taking out that lino at full time. Well done to Emmanuel Omega, who scored his first goal for the Netherlands on international duty this week. He's left annoyed and frustrated at his family at full time. That's because they turned up to the game late and managed to miss him scoring his goal against Sweden. Now, obviously, this could be like a funny sort of storyline or whatever. They got, I don't know, delayed on the way in or something. But, like, the footage actually shows them being, like, annoyed at him because he's upset that they've missed, like, such a special moment. And I can guarantee when he's offering out money to his family members that he's earned through his footballing career, those same people that were late for him scoring his first international goal will be the first people to be asking for a payout. Over in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and their national football stadium is genuinely falling apart. Meanwhile, Andorra beat San Marino this week. 2-0 the final score there, and they now end their losing streak as well. A losing streak that's fallen 3 times in like the last 2 months or something. First of all, San Marino, then Gibraltar, and now Andorra doing it as well. Which means the new worst country in the world in terms of a losing streak is Somalia over in East Africa.
Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
That's not a good thing. That's captain of being bad at football. Botswana won 2 games in a row. The only reason that's here is because this Donny asked for it on Twitter. Algerian Ibrahim Maza was vibing to the Togolese atmosphere down on the bench. Japan and Australia played each other this week as well. Neither of them wanted to win the game, as both goals in a 1-1 draw were own goals here. Meanwhile, there's been other drama going on in Asia. Bahrain faced off against Indonesia. Indonesia were 2-1 up going into extra time, and with 6 minutes of additional time given by the referee, it is of course acceptable for Bahrain to have scored in the 99th. I don't know who did the maths on that situation, but the only equation I've got is that the referee fell asleep somewhere. Arabian football corruption, that's what it stands for. Shout out to Montserrat, a tiny Caribbean nation who were victorious this week. They're the smallest population of any country affiliated to FIFA. They beat Bonaire from the region. Panama also play in CONCACAF, a country with a rich history and a great national anthem, except the person in charge of playing the national anthem
Para el himno nacional de Panamá.
didn't quite get the right one. I don't think this is what it's supposed to be. Now that it's time for your goals of the week, we've got some beauties for you. First of all, in African Cup of Nations qualifying, and for South Africa, we've got a screamer from Teboa Mokoena and commentary to match.
On the turn, the shot! Banging start to the match here from Mokoena.
In Cote d'Ivoire now, and we've got a goal that might actually be overshadowed by the celebration. Smacking in off the crossbar, absolute rocket of a finish, followed up by the goalkeeper's celebration, which is one of those skills I have to wonder how you find out that you have. But finally, we headed over to Ghana and Young Apostles, where striker Samuel Prempeh has scored one of the best goals I've seen this season. As the ball is floated in centrally, outside of the area, he bicycle kicks it into the back of the net. A ridiculous acrobatic finish. Now back closer to home, and Cole Palmer took to Insta to prove that criticism about his IQ levels is unfair. But the only thing I've taken from this is the fact that he replied to a comment suggesting that his pre-match meal is a 3.5. He's going to be distracted over on the right-hand side when Chelsea face Liverpool at Anfield next. There's big news at Manchester United where Sir Alex Ferguson has been sacked off by Ineos. He had basically, I guess, kind of like a ambassadorial advice role at Manchester United. He was being paid about £2 million for. And honestly, £2 million is about fair compensation for having to watch that every week. He is unfortunately getting sent back down the tunnel and to the care home. Meanwhile, Erik ten Hag will just be excited and gassed, opening his emails and realising the P45 hadn't been emailed to him.
Ooh, I tell you what, I read that bad. I thought I was gone.
Speaking of Manchester United and Sir Alex Ferguson affiliates, and Howard Webb has been booked by Sky Sports for the overlap. Meanwhile, over at Arsenal's women's side, and manager Jonas Eidevall has resigned as their manager, but not before Graffiti turned up in North London saying that he needed to get out of there. Graffiti asking for a manager to get sacked. That is an official sign that the women's game is on the rise. Over in Spain, and Real Madrid forward Endrick had his say on Andres Iniesta retiring from football. He stated that he loved watching him at the 2010 World Cup, where of course Spain won the tournament. Andres Iniesta scored that winning goal in the final. To put it into context, Endrick was 4 during this tournament.
He's done it again! That is a foul!
To be fair, bro was minus 62 when he was watching Bobby Charlton, so he shouldn't be too surprised. He can't keep getting away with this, honestly. It's actually ludicrous how unnecessarily this boy is lying. Put the fries in the bag, bro. It's done. The game's up, okay? You can't keep doing this. So for him, that's a happy meal, because he's not old enough for these sorts of conversations. Over at Barcelona, a new emergency goalkeeper signing, Wojciech Szczesny's chilling out, let's say, at the new camp. Yeah, smoking cigs again. This guy, honestly, he's getting through 60 packs a day. He'll be disappointed when he sees his side lose 3-0 to Real Zaragoza this week.
That bad, lad. I'm lighting a ciggy up now, hoping to get kicked out.
Meanwhile, honestly, artistically, he's spot on. Are we sure he's not from Sheffield? And back at Real Madrid, David Alaba may genuinely be forced to retire. He's been out for a ridiculous amount of time thanks to an ACL injury, and due to surgery that he's had, he's still suffering with a lot of pain because of lack of cartilage in his knee and his bones in his knee rubbing together. David, don't worry, I will show you the ropes. It's gonna be okay. In Italy, as I mentioned last week, Paul Pogba has had his term in terms of a sentence for doping reduced from 4 years to 18 months. He's allowed to train with Juventus again from January onwards, but it looks as if he may well be making a move outside of Serie A. And one club that's bidded for him, Broke Boys FC. That's a bit of a Pete way of describing a bid from Barcelona, to be honest with you. Yeah, this is the opposite of a Saudi Arabian move, isn't it, realistically? Broke Boys FC, for those that don't know, is a YouTuber and celebrity team that plays in a media football league over in Russia. They're not actually affiliated to FIFA because it's not a full professional football club. Either way, he's not going there. He's turned them down. Elsewhere in Italy, and there's a new contingency of Scottish folk at Napoli. The Scott McTominay and Billy Gilmore are capturing the hearts of the locals already, as one chef has added something to his menu, a haggis meatball pizza. And the accent of this chef is something to behold.
Seen what he done for the national team and what he was done for Manchester United, why did they sell him? So when they did, finally we got him.
Paolo Di Canio was quoted as saying that basically someone at United needed slapping their board members for letting Scott McTominay go to Napoli. To be honest with you, they needed that anyway before this transfer happened. Meanwhile, Luca Toni, Pep Guardiola and Roberto Baggio met up, some former legends of Brescia, and Luca Toni told Pep he'd ruined the striking position and his chances of moving club by introducing the false nine into football. Meanwhile, in Germany, an RB Leipzig will only be charging £13 to Liverpool supporters for tickets for the next Champions League game. It's almost like German clubs don't actually want to fleece their fans for it's crazy. Meanwhile, there were crazy scenes at a club called Erfurt who played against their sworn enemies Karl Zeiss Jana, and they painted the name of the club on their opponent's stadium, taking paint into the ground and defacing it live on TV. Yeah, that's a shithousery award. That's actually crazy behaviour. Hello all and welcome to The Beautiful Game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back by popular demand for yet more glorious beauty.
La podéis ver porque creo que no la pincharon, pero la podréis ver luego si la pueden pinchar o luego en postproducción y en el vídeo que quede del documental.
And that concludes The Beautiful Game. Now, elsewhere, and Neymar took a surprising role of becoming a mediator for a face-off in the boxing match between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. 12 rounds of action that Neymar was involved in, clearly. And that was just his last family barbecue. Eubank Jr.'s dad will be left somewhat confused when he sees Ney receive a snap video from his sister.
No comment.
Yeah, I don't know how he's ended up doing this, to be honest with you, but hey, listen, he's practically doing everything but play football in Saudi Arabia at the moment, so props to him. On the theme of Saudi Arabia, Roberto Mancini, former Italian and of course Manchester City manager as well, is not getting on very well with the fans over there. He was involved in an altercation as fans were chanting abuse towards him, telling him to fuck off. That will definitely get him back on side, Roberto. Over in Japanese gymnastics now. Oh, sorry, I meant football. It's good, great forward roll, though. Really good poise on that, to be honest with you. Well, Mesut Ozil is back playing against a bunch of kids. He played against like 110-year-olds the other day, and he's still assisting even now. On the theme of the next generation, footballing-wise, we've got a skillster here in Brazil that's already shown more flair than the majority of the Brazilian squad right now. We saw some waterlogging going on in South America in Argentina's game. The same has happened in Honduras here, but a goal has at least gone in, and the celebration afterwards has at least captured the weather around him. Meanwhile, there's controversy over in Peru. Now, I think like a governing body of Peruvian football, like the president of it, owns a team in Peru, which already sounds extremely sketchy. That is ridiculous. Imagine the guy that ran the FA had owned a like that's a massive conflict of interest. Either way, this side in question, Juan Pablo II, owned by Agustin Lozano, were the recipients of a dodgy offside decision that looked really, really sketchy and could see them getting promoted via the playoffs. We head over to Indonesia now for a well-beloved segment. The fourth officials over there haven't quite got the hang of those. Yeah, you'd meant to put it the other way around, and then... Although, to be honest with you, they're even more ridiculous over in Algeria, where I'm rating the inclusivity of having Braille on a substitutes board, but the whole point is that visually impaired people can't see the Braille. They need to feel the Braille. How are they going to feel it if it's on a subs board that they can't touch? Never mind. Back in Peru now, we're in the business end of a penalty shootout. The pressure is on. Any miss now could be pivotal to an entire cup campaign. So probably don't bring out the worst Panenka of all time. That would be my little bit of advice there. Meanwhile, in Brazil, we've got a ball that's ended up in the crowd during warm-up. So one fan's decided to chuck it back, and with devastating consequences. Yeah, look, if I pretend that it didn't hit me, do you reckon anyone will know that it did actually hit? Now there is time for the moment you've all been waiting for, because over in Romania, and we have got some serious footballing ability going on there. Their under-21s were looking to book themselves a place in a major tournament for next season, and have scored an absolutely delightful team goal. Like, it's not very often that Romania this week is just footballing ability. We're really breaking the mold here. Maybe the future is bright after all. Closer to home, and at Bamba Bridge, we've got a coach wanting to throw a water bottle towards his player so that he can stay hydrated. Unfortunately, the player didn't know the bottle was coming. Look, listen, let's throw a water bottle on Football Manager, and then there's this man. Come on. Only he'd had the bottle that I drank from the... Shut up, man. At Bath now, we've got a player being tackled, I think, by an Ebbsfleet defender. A really shocking challenge, I'm not gonna lie. The Bath player goes down, red card is given. He replied on Twitter saying his secondary school acting courses did the job. It's a shithousery award. Meanwhile, Owen Bartley's been red carded for a very different reason. He told the referee he was a thicko. Yeah, the game's gone, mate. You can't be getting sent off for that. Over in the West of Scotland Football League now, and I'm not entirely sure what's happened to create this image, but this linesman clearly isn't doing his job well enough to be getting booked by the referee as well. In Botswana, and look, I understand that, you know, frustrations can be high if you're down a couple of goals and a midfielder skips past you, but it doesn't mean you can bring out a tackle like this, man. That's an assault. You don't need a referee here. We need defense. Come on. In the second division of American football now, as in, well, American soccer, sorry, USL Championship, and this is one of the most disgraceful skill moves that I've seen. This is just straight disrespectful. A violation. Retirement home. Get in there with Sir Alex Ferguson. Former Roma hero Kostas Manolas has agreed to go back to Greece. In a pretty wholesome turn of news, he goes back to the amateur team where his career started. In Argentina, we ain't got wholesomeness like that. We've got whole crates of alcohol, I assume, being drunk. Maybe I'm too quick to judge, actually. That might just be a non-alcoholic beverage. Nah, who am I kidding? And elsewhere now, let's say a referee doesn't turn up for a local match. Who do you want in charge? An auntie. Brother, she ain't gonna let anything run. Genuinely, I'd be scared. They should make every referee in the Premier League an auntie of somebody. And I'm telling you now, there won't be any back-chatting. Now that it's time for Still 0-0, and you guys know the score by now, this is a segment of the show where I bring you the best of Sunday League and amateur football. And one thing that I love about Sunday League is how accessible it is. You can just go down to a game, watch your mates, watch your family members, and really feel like you're a part of the action, getting stuck in right next to the sidelines. Except this kid has got a little bit too close to the action and been absolutely clamped as a result of it. Honestly, hot take, had it come in. You can't be that, come on. Trying to get involved where it wasn't necessary. On to the weird stuff though now. Well, this week, the Vatican City are playing football. It's the smallest nation in the world, and therefore the smallest national teams. Their men's and women's sides are playing this week. They're not recognised by FIFA though, playing Euros qualifiers, for example, and they've decided they're going to be playing against a random team from Berlin called KSV Johannisthal. Why exactly they've gone for that, I don't know, but wishing them the best of luck. Meanwhile, over in Montenegro, and genuinely, right, listen, I want you to listen to this, okay? I know I say this sometimes, yeah, but this is the most mental story, maybe, that's ever been in FTW. We're ending with a bang here. It's a third-tier game between Njegos, what did you call me? And a side called Zeta, all right? Now, the game is 19-0 to Zeta, all right, after 70 minutes. But genuinely, that might be one of the least weird things about this story. The game is abandoned with 20 minutes to go, and the reason is because 10 players for Njegos end up collapsing at the same time out on the pitch and had to be taken to hospital. One man connected to the club reckons the reason for this is because they were all poisoned at half-time with plutonium. Yeah, now look, listen, he is the only source, okay? And there are a couple of other sources that suggest 6 players went down at the same time, which is still very strange anyway, but apparently the injuries weren't that. Either way, if that is the case, yeah, I mean, you're 19-0 up anyway. Do you really need to poison the opponents, lads? Come on. That, though, is going to wrap up football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then feel free to slap a like on the video, and of course, subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @officialfng on Twitter and on Insta. It's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.